people were talking loud, and then and then I remember I said, do you wanna, what did I say?
Invite the neighborhood.
Yeah, I said, do you wanna invite the whole neighborhood then? I mean, we might as well just invite the whole neighborhood, because I keep on telling you that you are loud, and then what's happening, elenemfam?
Hi elenemfam, welcome back to another video. My name is Letho, also known as Achuma. So in today's video, we are sharing a story of our biggest fights this year. So if you're new to the channel and you're interested in such topics and such videos, please make sure that you join the elenemfam by clicking on the subscribe button. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Please make sure that you check us out on our other social media pages. We have left the links on our description box. By the way, on Instagram, we've been sitting on 11.8. So we're on road to 12,000. So we just need 200 people to go and follow us on Instagram. And this right here is my husband, who is going to introduce himself.
What's happening, elenemfam? My name is Mr. Cham Till I Die, also known as Mr. Cham, child of God. People change, but not God, also known as Ibuda and Ijan of the Mafondins, Ihrotman of the Bagodins. Ijan of the Mafondins, Ihrotman of the Magodins. Not the other way around, also known as Utata Galuda. So today we are here to just air our dirty laundry because we are bored. We don't have anything else to talk about. I'm joking, guys. We are just here to share, and also what did we learn from that particular fight. It's not an old fight, it's a very fresh fight. So if you see us looking at each other in a funny way, you must know, you must pray for us. But yeah, my wife is just going to give us a background of what basically happened. Well, she's going to be leading that part. I don't really like retelling things that were making me feel
you don't.
some type of way. So she's going to give us a background, and then we are going to be talking about the lessons that we learned from that, and we are going to be out of your way.
Okay, cool. So Lulo recently started school. By the way, like it's 11:30. People are sleeping. The most important person is sleeping, so we're not trying to wake him up, Lulo. So Lulo recently started school, and this other one Friday, we were just planning our weekend, and we had planned
the Friday before the Monday. Of him starting
school. So we're just planning our weekend, and we had a few things to buy for him to start school, to be set up for school. So we discussed, and we're like, okay, I was working on Saturday, and we planned that we're gonna go to the shops after work, after I finish work. And then cool, we sort of, I think we agreed. I don't know if we agreed or not.
But implicitly.
We agreed. Next day I start work. I was supposed to work from 9 to 2. So in my mind, it's a Saturday's shops are gonna close soon, earlier. Then I decide that,
which is not true, by the way.
Okay.
That's
starting. I don't know.
No, I'm just saying that assumption is not true.
Wait,
so
I did assume. I was like, they're gonna close around 5 or something. So we need to leave immediately when I finish work. Then just before 2 o'clock, because I had planned that when it's 2 o'clock, I'm closing my laptop. I was working from home. I'm closing my laptop, then we are leaving. So around 2 o'clock, I get a call from client, and then I'm wrapping that call up fast. As I'm wrapping the call, my husband walks in to the office, and he says, okay, I'm out. I'm going to stock for take.
And and I was not working on that Saturday. So I'm thinking maybe you thought since I'm not working, I should be ready around about that time. But then, I woke up, a bit later than someone who's going to work. And then I went for a run, come back, I relax, I unwind, I stretch, I do all those things. And then in my mind, take a lot is part of what I was planning to do that day. So yeah, it just happened. It was literally just a coincidence. It wasn't because I had planned when you are about to wrap up.
When I'm leaving, when I'm done at work, and then you are out.
And then I'm out, yeah. So there were things that I was doing that ended at around you finishing work. Yeah, you can continue.
So he walks in and then he tells me that he's leaving, and then we all talk, and I'm wrapping up this call, and I'm just like, he's crazy. I'm like, am I hearing him correctly? But I'm like, I'm upset, but I don't want to show it. And then he says bye, and then I'm like, I'm not even looking at him because I'm wrapping up this call. I'm trying to understand what is happening, and then he leaves. And then after he leaves, I decide, like I'm angry. And then a few hours later, I'm like, you know what? I forgive him. I'm sure maybe because you did say you forgot.
Yes. So because you said, I thought we were going to get into Zalula. I was like, oh yeah, I did forget, but that has not changed. I mean, that's still going to happen, but it's not something that I was thinking about. That's what I said. Yeah.
So, and then I decided, it's fine. Forgive him. He forgot. It's okay. When he comes home, we're going to be fine. He comes home, he's angry. Oh, wow. He's giving me an attitude. Like he seems upset. So I'm trying to have a conversation with him.
So when I left, actually, I saw when I said I'm going to get things for Take a Lot. I know you when you are not for something. So I could see, okay, you're not for this one. I was like, okay, that's fine. I mean, there's nothing that I can do to help you on this one. I'm still going to get these. And then the second thing is when I'm saying, okay, I'm out, babe. You don't even look at me. You said, okay. That pissed me off. I was like, okay, you know what? Okay, now this is going way too far. What have I done wrong? It's not like I'm saying I'm going partying or I'm going with the gents or whatever. Like I'm going to get bread basically. So why are you even upset? I was like, you know what? I'm out of here. So yeah, I left.
And then when you come home, you're upset. But I don't know why you're upset because I'm like, I decided to forgive you and you come home, you're upset. Like, what is this?
You're supposed to be grateful.
You're supposed to be grateful. So when I realized that you were upset and then you even went to bed, you sent me a message. You didn't kiss me goodnight. You just sent me a message.
Yeah, the same way you didn't look at me when I left. So why do you want a kiss for goodnight when I was going to war and you didn't?
And then, fine. He still says he's no longer coming back to the sitting room. He's just going to bed, and it was early. I was like, oh, okay.
But I did mention actually that I was tired and I was not feeling so great or something like that.
I did ask you, like, I did ask you, like, if everything is okay, and then you just said you are tired. But I wasn't really. You didn't seem like, because even when you're tired, you'd be like, yeah, today it was tiring. We still have like some.
Yeah, I was tired and angry.
Yes. Cool. And then you go to bed the next day because it's Saturday. The next day we have to go to church.
Yeah.
So I wake up. I say good morning, babe, and then he's like, he did say good morning back, but I didn't hear him. And then he checks if I heard him because it's like, you see, now the devil is trying tricks now because now I'm going to think he didn't say anything. And then eventually we have the conversation about what happened the previous day. But now the conversation is just a back and forth because I'm telling him how I was like, I obviously didn't look at him because I was still processing the fact that he was leaving. And I just didn't understand why he was leaving. And also I was wrapping up this call that I was on. So there was just a lot of things happening. And then he's also explaining what was happening with him at that time. He's thinking at that time Now no one is backing down. It's a back and forth. Like you should have, you know, like I mean, if you're leaving for take a lot, it's not like you're gonna be back at 5. I mean, you'll be back around, like because you're going and then you are stuck and then you have to drive back. And then it just became a back and forth. And then it's time to go. We are running out of time because we have to get ready for church. Now we have to decide. Now it looks like we're going to be driving 2 separate cars to church, and we just don't know how the situation is going to be like when we get to church. Are we just going to be, we're going to be sitting together? Are we going to be talking to each other? Are we going to be,
which was crazy.
Yeah, like, are we not going to hold hands?
When you were suggesting it, I was like, how do you even suggest that? When you were saying, well, yeah, maybe we're going to go in different cars. I was like,
I think it was you who suggested.
No. I said, I don't know how it's going to work. I wasn't saying what we must do. And then you said, we must go in different
cars. Like, it was like, you brought it up because you're asking, are we now driving 2 different cars? Like, yeah, actually, because I mean, like, we are not talking to each other most. So,
yeah.
I was like, maybe, I mean, we've never done it. And at church, we are always like happy, holding hands. And then now it was,
I was like, how do you even suggest that? Like, because I think it was my way of saying, but hey, we need to work this out. But I can't say it, but hey, babe, can we please work this out? So that we don't
drive different cars. And then I'm like, yeah, actually, let's drive different cars.
I'm like, are you crazy? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
And then, so that was very, very hard. One of the hardest arguments we had because there were a lot of emotions involved and we were really struggling to get to a point where we were fine.
Yeah, and the thing is, we had a time limit as well. So,
we have to go to church.
So you don't have the whole day. You need to decide whether you are resolving this thing or you are leaving it, or what's basically happening, because time is not on our side. Elenemfam, before we share our lessons, obviously we're not really gonna share like the gory details of the fight. But one of the things that it was obviously people were talking loud, which is something that I hate. When
you're saying people are talking loud and then it's something that you hate. It's not you who was loud.
I'm just saying, I'm not mentioning any names, but people were talking loud, and then and then I remember I said, do you wanna, what did I say?
Invite the neighborhood.
Yeah, I said, do you wanna invite the whole neighborhood then? I mean, we might as well just invite the whole neighborhood, because I keep on telling you that you are loud, and then you keep on doing this. Then might as well just call. Obviously, that was passive aggression.
And then another thing that got to me, babe, because we kept saying, like, we'll talk, and then I will say something, you'll say something, and then as you were saying something, and then I remembered something, and I was answering that, you're like, Isholea kogi point.
I said, okay, because
I am obviously.
Yeah, you see, I think we actually don't realize as people, or maybe we know our strongest points that the devil can use, because when it comes to passive aggression, I am poisonous.
Yeah, and then also you act innocent. You're like, what did I say? Because I just said, I mean, like, if you're gonna interrupt me, that means
the one that you have is more important than the one that
I'm not fighting. I'm trying to you're fighting.
Even when I'm saying, like, yeah, because you're talking loudly, so I thought maybe you wanted to invite the neighbors to this conversation.
I'm not fighting. And then you say, I'm not fighting.
I'm fighting.
Whatever he says, he has to emphasize that he's not fighting. But I'm like, we are lawyers.
What is your toxic trait when it comes to your fights with your partner, elenemfam? Let us know on the comment section before we start sharing our lessons that we learned from the fight. Just let us know. Have you had any biggest fight? What was it about? And what is your one toxic trait when you know about this one?
I pull out this one. I know the moment you start shouting, you go crazy.
So yeah, man, one of the things that we actually learned, that I learned as we were in that moment, I learned, by not, there has to be a time when you realize that this is not going to be resolved now. It's going to be resolved later. You have to stay positive that it's going to be resolved later. And when you realize that, you have to respectfully ask, I say respectfully because you could still ask that you pause this conversation. But if you are saying, no, what, let's just leave this.
That's me.
Yeah, this is you. Yeah. That's not going to fly because now it's like you are just, you don't care. Let's just forget about this thing. And if you respectfully say, you know what, unfortunately, it's easier said than done, guys, you know. But when emotions are there, you have to try and say, okay, babe, I think you've expressed yourself, I have expressed myself, and it doesn't seem that we are getting one another now. Maybe we are getting one another, but we don't have a resolution as yet. Let us park it, and then we'll revisit this thing later. And in most cases, I think you'll realize that when you revisit it later, it's not going to be a fight. You just talk about the actual issue, because what happens if you keep on dragging this thing, you start now employing certain tactics that are actually not building the marriage or not building the relationship, where you start like with passive aggression, where you start shouting, where you start being disrespectful as well. I remember you said, what did you say? I think you said hi suga. So we have a rule, you know, in our marriage, and when we are disagreeing or we're having a fight or we're having a, what do we call, an argument, to say that do not, because auntie, you are not divorcing me, we are just fighting now. So do not be disrespectful in the way that you are handling this whole situation by using words like nah, words like hi suga, words like what are other words that are forbidden? But basically we have words that we
cannot use.
You cannot use. The moment you use that word, I'm like, okay, you don't, and you don't want us to engage in this thing. So so realizing that it's
time up.
It's time up.
After 5 minutes.
After 5 minutes, you are not fighting about the issue. You are fighting about the fight. You are fighting about how the pitch is high, how the things I'm saying. Basically, there has to be a time up.
And also in line with duration as well. Like if you must always address things as soon as possible, because the longer they drag, the more emotions are heightened. So like in that moment, had he came home maybe and then we spoke about how we felt, you'd find that we were gonna sleep in a good position, in good mood, and then we wake up for church and then now we are not pressed for time because we have to have this argument. So if you address things before before you start replaying them in your head, and then you start thinking, you know, because the devil will also tell you how this person is being disrespectful, doesn't appreciate you, and so on. They don't care about the things that you talk about. So it's always best to address things as soon as you get an opportunity.
Yeah, that's true. Another thing that I realized while we were fighting is that pride is not your friend. Because I mean, I was thinking, there were so many times when I could have just said, babe, let's just pause, let's just breathe. But I don't want to be the one that's coming down. I want to be there as well. You know, I want us to go with this thing, because if I'm now the one that's saying, babe, let's come down so that we let's resolve this, and then which there's nothing wrong with that, but the pride is saying no. You know, pride is saying no, push, come on, push.
That's like push, come on.
So pride is not your friend in a fight. Yes,
and also with pride, because with us, one thing I realized during that fight is that normally when we argue, our arguments are short because one of us would apologize, and we always try to put you try to put yourself in the other person's shoes, and then you would apologize. You know, even if someone is saying what you said, it felt disrespectful. Instead of saying, no, it wasn't, no, it wasn't, you'll say, you try and understand that they are not saying when you are disrespectful, but how it landed, it just felt disrespectful. Then you can just apologize and say, I'm sorry. And also now calling you, look, I'm sorry, you're not saying I'm sorry you felt that way, but just saying, I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. Then you can just explain to them what you meant, you know, when you said whatever that they found to be disrespectful, instead of being defensive. So normally our arguments will end like smoothly, or we wouldn't even get to a point of arguing. We'll just talk about it, and then one of us would apologize
or acknowledge, what you explain what were you thinking when you said that.
Because the moment you become defensive, then you are sort of invalidating that other person's feelings, and it's like, I was not rude to you, but
if that's how the person feels, then that's how the person feels, and this is someone that you care about. So, you know, try and also, while you are doing whatever you are doing, try and think about them as well. Don't just be so absorbed, which actually leads me to my next point, to say, invest your energy on the goal, on sort of reaching a consensus, as opposed to the fight. Like, you can be so invested in the fight that you forget the goal. So being invested in the fight is picking up those things to say, you see now you are raising your voice, even though you can still remind someone to say, hey babe, you are saying wrong words now, and these words, unfortunately, they're gonna actually have a life even outside of this fight. It's something now, you are stepping on something else, and I mean, you're not trying to, we are still gonna be together after this fight. Therefore, you must not be so invested in the fight, but rather on on the goal itself, where you try and be humble when you need to be humble. You try and be considerate towards certain things where you're saying, okay, this one I'm not sure about. But when you're invested in the fight, anything, like literally you'll use any tool that you have to use to win the fight. And sometimes you might win the fight, as they say. I know it's so cliche, but it's really true. You might win the fight but lose the battle, because by the time the person is crying now, you've said all the hurtful words, but you have not resolved the issue. And then they don't trust you anymore, or they can no longer raise the issues that they have in this marriage. They're not feeling safe, because, I mean, you're going to attack them. So as much as you have won the fight, but you've lost the battle of actually being trusted by your partner. Is there anything else?
Yeah, and also, like, conflicts is draining. It is draining, like arguing, and then now I feel like it's acting also, because you act like you don't care about this person,
and it's funny how the other person also believes, but you don't care about me. Why are you acting like I'm
like you have to act like you don't care, but deep down you care. You just want to go to church together and drive and listen to worship music and hold hands and during praise and worship. Now you act like you don't want to do all those things.
Like, do your life, man. Guys, this is not lean. This is my mixture. Just in case you thought this was empty, and it's not empty.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
You don't like those bars?
I don't like that one. So wash your go.
This means I'm a cameraman. No, I remove it when you are editing. I think we are done with the lessons. Elenemfam, please do share with us, what lessons did you learn from any fight, any recent fight, or even your biggest fight with your partner, so that we can all learn from each other's dirty laundries. Because the reason why we really sharing this story is that maybe so that you don't feel like you're alone when you're fighting with your partner. We also fight. We have arguments. We label them. Fights we don't really have. Arguments, we have them every once in a very long while. We have disagreements. Those ones we have a lot of those ones. and we have our ways
yeah,
of
we do
resolving.
have a lot of those ones. Yeah.
But those things don't last.
Yeah, they don't last, but it's just that they come up. They come
we did
up.
have one today.
This morning I just saw
Yeah.
a thinking we actually have
Yeah.
quite a few.
It's important to communicate though,
Yeah.
and say what made you not happy. And I think the moment you know that you are gonna be received with grace, it makes you feel comfortable sharing, you know, your discomfort. But yeah, man, Element family, we love you and we appreciate you. May your neighbors respect you.
Troubles neglect you.
Family embrace you.
And God bless you.
And may your shame and pain be champagne.
Bye, elenemfam.
Let's shoot.
For editing. Oh,
Let's shoot that out.
oh, okay. I thought we were gonna be editing now. No, it's fine. We can shoot that on. Let's change the top. Killing minutes.
No cut.
I hope it was recording.
Yeah.